All right, good evening, everybody. Shawn Poe here, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Really excited. I've got a good friend of mine, Dr. Brett Brimhall, on here as well tonight. And we're really here to share some information that we heard a while back, and it absolutely changed our lives. I will be the first to admit when I was invited to hear the information, I wasn't the most enthusiastic person to sit back and listen to it, but I will say that I was open-mindedly skeptical about it, and that decision changed our lives. My wife, Michelle, and I, we were fortunate enough to go to a meeting just like you're going to hear tonight by Dr. Mark Gordon here in Sioux Falls, a cardiologist. And I'll never, ever forget that meeting where he was standing up and talking about the science and everything that was behind the product, Protandim, and the company LifeVantage, and him talking about the American Heart Association and it being published in their journal, Circulation, arguably the premier cardiology journal of the world. So when you hear this information tonight, I want you to ask yourselves a couple questions. First of all, if the information that you're hearing about is true, how could it impact your life? And then also I want you to think about the people that you know and love. You know, who could benefit from the information and the technology that we're going to share with you tonight. So what we're going to do, I'm going to start with this ABC Primetime Investigative Report. It aired back in 2005. Afterwards, we'll bring you up to speed. I'll introduce Dr. Brett Brimhall. He'll bring you up to speed on the science and the technology that we're so excited about. And then I'll wrap it up with kind of where I see everything going and where we're headed in the course of the next 1 to 5 years. We're super excited about this information, but I do want to set it up with that ABC Primetime Investigative Report. And the thing that stood out to me the most on this, you guys, was news is not intended to be good, right? What sells better, good news or bad news? And the reality is we're inundated with bad news all the time. So when I saw this investigative report, I was absolutely shocked that it turned out all positive for the company, because expose or investigative reporting, they're supposed to poke holes in what a company is claiming, and then they end up chasing the CEO down in a parking lot with a camera crew saying, now what? Everything that you've told everybody we've exposed is not true. But that's exactly the opposite of what happens with this. And it really sets the foundation of where this company started and really why it's the leader in nutrigenomics and why we're so excited today. So I'm going to share my screen. We'll start with that ABC Primetime video, and then I will introduce Dr. Brett Brimhall.
You want to get an edge on turning back the clock with just a few pills? Who doesn't? Well, it's no longer science fiction, but science possibility, a potential breakthrough. As I found out firsthand, there may be a way to erase years, at least inside my body. Granted, it's down the road, but some scientists are wondering if a new pill I took might offer a very long life. It may not look like the fountain of youth, but inside this nondescript building, I'm about to become part of an exciting experiment. A kind of guinea pig.
Dr. McCord, okay.
I'm here at the University of Colorado in Denver to meet Dr. Joe McCord, a world-renowned scientist.
So this is pretty exciting stuff you're finding, huh?
It is. We're very excited about it.
His latest research could very well unravel the mystery of aging itself. And as decades of experiments may have the potential of adding years to people's lives and possibly prevent chronic diseases like cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. It all centers around this small yellow pill, and for me, it begins with a blood test.
Can you scoot? Yeah, there we go.
It wouldn't be the first time I've given blood for this company.
They want to check my levels of something called T-bars, which is a rough indicator of a person's actual age. T-bars can identify a condition known as oxidative stress, a kind of measure of the wear and tear on our bodies. Oxidative stress, like the rusting of an engine, is not a good thing.
Bad for the body,
Leading to disease.
leading to disease and leading to malfunction, and importantly, leading to what we call aging. It is a slow progression of increasing oxidative stress. That's the main characteristic biochemically of the aging process.
The problem of aging begins with the very food we eat to give us energy. As our cells burn that food, they also release toxic chemicals. Those chemicals, you may know them as free radicals, react with all the components of our cells, literally bombarding them millions of times per second, damaging all our cells. So the result? Oxidative stress, and we all have it. The body fights back with a system of defenses. It makes two antioxidant enzymes, catalase and SOD, whose job is to gobble up the free radicals before they can harm our cells.
So, doctor, how often do I take these?
And so, here I go. With that swallow, I've just become part of a potentially landmark scientific experiment.
Doesn't taste bad.
It's called Protandim, and tests on both mice and humans have already shown that it revs up the manufacture of those good enzymes in our bodies. More enzymes, fewer free radicals to harm us.
Right now, all we know is that this preparation decreases oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is not a disease, just like aging is not in itself a disease, but it's something that accompanies and is attached to many disease processes. So you can see the age-related.
Normally, oxidative stress, measured by those T-bars, increases with age. But in Dr. McCord's tests, taking just one pill of Protandim a day reversed that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old.
They all are reduced to the level of oxidative stress that one would expect, frankly, in a newborn or a very young child.
High oxidative stress is associated with more than aging. It's been linked to hundreds of illnesses.
It's at the very center of many diseases: liver disease, diabetes, emphysema, asthma. I've studied all of these: strokes, heart attacks,
Even mental disease.
yes,
Depression?
Alzheimer's disease, depression.
Dr. James Crapo with the National Jewish Medical Center in Denver is also researching Protandim for the company. But what about my progress? After nearly 2 weeks now, it's time to get my results. Dr. McCord calculates the numbers. The result? My level of oxidative stress has declined dramatically.
45%, that's excellent.
Just look at where I fall on the graph, before and after.
Which, if extrapolated back, is the level you would see in a newborn baby.
Would you suggest I keep taking this supplement?
I would. I can't guarantee it's going to extend your life. I can't guarantee it's going to eliminate any diseases or cure any diseases.
But we do know that oxidative stress is part of those disease processes. And I don't want to wait until I'm 80 years old and find out that I should have taken it.
The company that makes Protandim says its tests show the pill, made from ingredients used for centuries, is absolutely safe. But because it's being sold as a nutritional supplement and not a drug, Protandim does not need FDA approval for safety.
It's the little yellow pill that scientists say could eliminate chronic diseases and help you live well into your hundreds. Quinones has been taking Protandim for 2 weeks now and tells Extra,
I am sleeping better. I feel a lot better and also energized when I do wake up.
You know, as a patient advocate, I stumbled upon Protandim almost 3 years ago. Someone introduced me to Protandim. I just looked at the research and figured out, hey, wait a minute, I have to take 360 oranges in one day to get the same effect of one pill? So,
antioxidants, okay? These are still good, right?
Oh, not only are they good, but we've breathed a whole new life into this topic. We now know that you can actually boost your own body's defenses without even just taking vitamin C by eating lots of colorful fruits and vegetables. But there's also a new supplement on the market called Protandim that is made from an extract of herbs that actually upregulates and boosts your natural manufacturing of antioxidant enzymes.
Wow.
So this is going to reduce those harmful free radicals, reduce some of that cell damage associated with disease, and this is a double thumbs up.
How do you find the energy to keep doing it night after night? We get a lot of comments. So people have been emailing me and saying they love how you look, like you're ageless. It's incredible. So
I have a secret.
What is your secret?
I have a secret formula, and it's a company called LifeVantage. They came up with a product called Protandim. Now, what causes the aging process is free radicals in our body, oxidative stress. This protandim stuff, I've been taking it for 2 years.
We have it on the table right there.
Clinically proven to slow the aging process down. It reduces the oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. So I tested it and it works. And the nice thing, it's not pharmaceutical. It's real food.
I'm going to have to give it a try.
All right. So I will jump back on here in a bit and kind of explain my story and my wife's story. But I want to introduce to you a good friend of ours, Dr. Brett Brimhall. We've known and gotten to know him and his family over the last several years. Shortly after he joined the business, he actually flew out to South Dakota, stayed with us. So we've known him since the beginning of this journey with him. But it honestly, it started way before that. For him with some patients, and he'll talk to you about that. But excuse me, Dr. Brimhall, he's been married to his wife Holly for over 22 years. They have 4 kids, ranging in age from 11 to 19. He's been in clinical practice for 19 years, you guys, and been training healthcare providers all over the world since '95. Him and his father, they pioneered the 6 steps to wellness, and he's been part of teaching and creating nutritional supplements, chiropractic tools, and techniques all over the world. He really does have this passion just for people to achieve their full potential in health, and it's now really expanded to helping people with their wealth as well. So in 2014, he had a paradigm shift when he saw changes in a patient that he had worked with for over a year with this new breakthrough technology. He's now a elite Pro 7 in our company, and he loves sharing the science and this opportunity with the world. So with that, I'll turn it over to our great friend, Brett Brimhall.
Hey, Shawn, thanks a ton. It's actually a blast to be on here and just do what we get to share with. And I do remember, like, I have to admit, I was super closed off to network marketing. I had people present it to me, never in a way that I thought it'd be unique and different than what I'd want to share it. But that something absolutely changed my paradigm in a giant way. So I want to share with you guys what I saw. But I remember when I flew to South Dakota and I met the Poes, I learned a lot more about the people of network marketing, which I'll share with a little minute, because they're really part of this journey for me. So we're going to talk about this key concept here. It's called biohacking, and this is why it's important. I literally got a text today from somebody talking about how this product put in her body has changed how she feels in the morning, where she can get up without pain. She can do things she wasn't doing before. Her child, who struggled with a learning disability, is actually speaking more than he ever has. So what we have our hands on is giving us the ability to improve ourselves in whatever way, shape, or fashion you want, and it's called biohacking. So right now, there's a process going on inside your body. It's called hijacking or biohacking, and you have the ability to do either one. This means a lot to me. I'm going to share a little story with you because it drives home to me why we get a chance to doing this. So my mom passed away, guys, 11 years ago from cancer. Her mom lived to 97. Her dad lived to 93. She's the youngest of 10 kids. None of those 10 kids have lived past 85. That seems a little weird with the day and age we live. On top of that, how does that happen? Like, how do you take someone with that type of genetics to where now she developed a condition that literally doesn't normally happen to smokers or drinkers, which she did none of those. And also my own father-in-law, he had a heart attack in his 60s. His mom and dad didn't have one until they were in their late 60s, early 70s. And I remember him having this conversation with me because I was upset that I had to go have this conversation. I've been trying to get changed his diet for over 10 years. I've been married to his wife, my wife Holly, and literally she said, he told me this, I knew I was going to have a heart attack because my mom and my dad did. And I asked him, well, how old were they? And they were a good 10 to 15 years older than he was. And they said, good job. You manifested a genetic disease 10 years sooner than your parents. I was a little hot at that time because my mom had just passed away a few months earlier. The last thing I wanted my kids to have to experience is another loss like that. So right now, the information you're going to get at this moment, you're going to learn about something that you can do if you're really, because someone invited you because you have a problem going on right now, or literally because you want to prevent problems from happening the best you can. We're all doing things, but what are you doing and are they most effective? So there is hijacking going on in your environment right now at this very minute. What are you doing to control it? So we now know this new science that started at ABC Primetime, that this process is called biohacking through a process of a science and a technology called Nutrigenomics. It's literally how in which environment and nutrition play into how the genes process. So my father-in-law, he didn't play the game right. So literally he manifested a genetic condition 10 years sooner than his parents, right? That's what happened to him, right? This industry is changing how healthcare will be done, right? It currently is. It's even how medication are looked at. I read a study last week talking about specifically related to Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and how the new drugs are being made and in clinical trials now to activate this process that we're going to talk about tonight. That's a giant deal. But for those of you know right now and the loved ones you have right now that may be struggling with some of those things that relate to that, you have something they could do start now. Also, for those who want to prevent things, you can start that right now, right? So this is what got my attention with this right here. This is this test scores of this little boy, and I was taking care of him and his mom. She lived an hour away from my office. She literally was out driving an hour each way to come see me because the doctor that I had trained living in Iowa said, hey, go see Dr. Brimhall. He can probably help your son more. So number 18 was this little boy. So keep in mind, he was diagnosed at 2. I met him at 3. I worked with him every week for a year. And his mom was traveling an hour each way to come see me. On top of that, he's in a preschool, phenomenal preschool, and doing 35 hours of therapy a week. Like, who has the time or the financial resources where literally that's what you can do and pour your life into it? You know, Carrie had that because she built this business before this product came out that changed her son's life, right? So what you'll see on this is number 18 is her son. And you can see me at the bottom of the pack. This is based on letter, recognition, and sound. This is after 35 hours of therapy and taking a knee treatment every week for a year. So it's a bad joke, but literally that's where he was after everything that we had done. And he was doing a ton of supplements. He'd done IV therapies, detox, all sorts of stuff. Then Axio comes out. And within 11 days of him starting that product, I told Carrie, like, he had a 50% improvement. He sat at my table. He was remembering stuff that we had taught with him previously. Literally, we'd have him try to remember, recognize letters and numbers, and he'd remember it sometimes and sometimes not, right? To where from this test, you see it here at 18, to later in February, the only difference we had made, besides seeing him less, was he was taking Axio. It unlocked his brain. So I found myself, after a week's notice, Carrie said, look, you know, I called her up and said, I don't know what's different. She said, I'm ready to look at the science. I read the studies. I started putting the products in people, seeing good changes. She said, what are you doing next Thursday? And so I'm treating patients, including you. So in 1 week's notice, I found myself on an airplane to South Dakota in the end of October, which you guys know that South Dakota is not warm like Arizona in October. And I met the scientist. He got some questions answered. And one thing he said to me, people are tired not because they're physically tired. They're literally tired because they're mentally tired. And that rang in my head so true, as it's why we saw this change in her son. His brain was fatiguing, so he was manifesting symptoms that was diagnosed as autism. And then as we started putting this other people's lives, like, this product was made to address brain fatigue. So for brain fatigue, for a lot of us, it might feel like overwhelm, or nervousness, or can't focus or concentrate, can't get things done, right? For others, it might literally affect how they're able to speak and communicate. So this is a picture of my nephew. This is his handwriting. Think of this little boy. He's 9 at the time. He struggles with one of those kids in class, last thing to be done, had to sit in at recess, super anxious and nervous, hard time making friends. He starts the Protandim and Axio. Within 2 weeks, look at the change in his handwriting. But he went from one of those kids last in the class done to one the first in the class done. So think about who you might know that literally is underperforming right now, and not only in life, but in their career, but in other places socially, literally because their brain is not being activated. So this is what's possible if we activate our body's potential in the best way possible. And we have this new science to deal with that. So I want to talk a little bit about the science. We're going to come back to this picture. So that ABC investigative report aired. It's kind of funny we're having this conversation over Zoom or anywhere, because really with that type of groundbreaking science, aired on ABC, all phenomenal results, we shouldn't be having this conversation. This company should have blown up. But because it was run by doctors and scientists, that didn't have an infrastructure put in place, most of those orders, with $5 million orders came in overnight, didn't get fulfilled for over 8 months. So they missed this giant opportunity, right? The company's already public traded, so they tried to do what they could. They tried to sell it on shelves like GNC and Rite Aid and online. But no one knew what this science was. They didn't understand nutrigenomics at that time, and it was labeled as something that reduced oxidative stress. No one knew what oxidative stress was. So it switched distribution models in 2009, and in that economy, which we all know was horrible, this company grew from a $3 million company to over $200 million company, right? That's phenomenal of itself, and it's featured on all sorts of different TV spots. But what happened, because that aired, scientists all over the world wanted to study protandim specifically, not the ingredients in protandim, but protandim specific in relationship to all sorts of different diseases and conditions that were linked to oxidative stress. So we don't claim to cure, treat, or prevent, but we are talking about the root cause of heart illness called that is caused by oxidative stress. One of them that was published in what's called the Journal of Circulation. That's the American Heart Association's journal. A 26-page study published in relationship to how it reduced oxidative stress in relation to heart disease. LSU, specifically in melanoma, reduction in melanoma with protandim. There is a 10-year study showing that it extends lifespan by an average of 5 years. Universities from all the globe catching this science and studying protandim specifically and seeing positive results across the world. You can go to what's called pubmed.gov and you can look up these things. So much so, this research has sparked drug companies looking at that, which I'll highlight a couple of specific ones. So really, oxidative stress, what is it? It's literally rusting from the inside out. We see this process all the time in food we live on the counter, it decays, right? What causes that decay is oxidation. So oxidation is caused by stress. Physical, emotional, chemical stresses cause it. In our body, depending on where it happens is what it's named as. If it's in the heart area, they call it hypertension or heart disease. If it's in the eye, they might call it cataracts or macular degeneration. If it's in other tissues like across the board, it can be diabetes or chronic fatigue syndrome. So literally every cell in the body experiences this process of oxidative stress. And if you aren't doing something about it, it's happening faster than it should. So my question to you is, who is this affecting? Everybody should raise their hand. So who do you care about enough to know and that you know that you want to at least share this information with? Because right now we're doing something, but is it effective? So you have a choice. You have a choice to combat this stress cycle that's around you. So right now we know our environment is super polluted. We know we're more stressed than ever. There's more stress now going on with both real stressors and stressors that we are just mental stressors based upon what we see and hear. So we have the choice. We can do what we used to do, which is eat our fruits and vegetables, which we should do anyway, or we can use what's called NRF2 activation. So this NRF2 activation is literally a switch inside your cell. When you turn it on, it puts the fire out. It turned on this mass production of good things inside your cells to heal and repair faster. So literally think about your kids. What if, and I know if you have kids, you're like me, the house just gets messy, right? It just happens. What if you literally could flip a switch in them where they cleaned up on their own? How cool would that be, right? So think about it, in all the trillions of cells in your body, if this switch got flipped on, all of a sudden you're healing and repairing faster, because right now you're aging. And when you're aging faster than you're repairing, you're in a dis-ease pattern where your body is breaking down, and the body has to rob Peter to pay Paul until you start having symptoms. And when you have symptoms long enough, eventually they find a process that they can name, right? And then you're really in trouble. So if you're looking at therapeutic stuff, great, and also prevention. So here's what protandim looks like, a little blue bottle. It activates this process in our body to help us repair faster. 10-year study showing it extends life. It regulates your survival genes. There's those brands, the NSF, BSCG, NIH. These are brands that products don't get. You have to literally be at the highest standard to get those certifications. And think about a 10-year study. It took 10 years to complete, and it was positive. The only dietary supplement showing to extend life. That's what we get to share. What great confidence we can have in saying, hey, this is extending life. So how is it doing that? It's doing it by literally slowing that aging process down. So if you want to slow the aging process down, what's more likely to be successful? Taking a pill, right? Decreasing your stress, exercising, what's easier? To me, I want to do as much as I possibly can, but taking one pill a day where literally reduces by 40%, that is a giant, giant deal. Okay, so how big a deal is this, right? Think about how many ibuprofen and all sorts of what they call non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are sold, right? That's a big deal. Or antibiotics, how many antibiotics are sold throughout the world? The science of NRF2, so this switch in your body literally controls the body's ability to detoxify, produce the good stuff called antioxidants, control inflammation, and protect your cells. That's its job, this switch. So Washington State looked at the review of the literature and said, hey, this protein switch, it will become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. We're talking about something that we use both when you got a problem for therapy and for prevention. But the most extraordinary, you think about all the cool things that happen in science, and for Washington State to hang their hat on this, it's a big, big, big deal. And I would agree with that, because what I've seen in clients' life, I've treated patients for now, I've been involved in my dad's practice since I was 14. I started teaching physicians when I was 21 with my dad. I began my clinical practice at 26. So my whole life has been in this arena. I've stocked my dad's shelves from vitamins from the time I was little. I've taken vitamins since I was little. Watching what's happening in people's lives with this, where we're no longer supplementing, we're activating these inborn natural abilities to heal, your body's repairing faster. You guys have all seen a kid, they fall down, they scrape themselves, the body naturally heals itself. We also seen somebody that's diabetic fall down and scrape themselves and get an infection because the body's systems aren't healing. I want my system healing. This is a switch that controls that. And if what I have to do is just take one pill a day to do that, I want to absolutely do that along with the other things that are going to help my body heal. The NRF2 activation that was put into the Axio to address brain fatigue is what allowed this little boy to have his life like it currently is, not what it used to be. I got a text today, guys, from a mom that I don't know that watched some of the videos we did at one point in time. She started on the product. She decreased her pain so much that she's feeling so much better. Her own kid who's struggled with specific, learning disabilities and speech delay, literally is saying words to his mom that he never has said before, right? Somehow, when his body became activated, he's becoming and expressing more of life. So you have that choice in doing these things now that you know, but then also, I know for every one person that's on here, there's probably 200 people that you know that are probably on their knees praying for information like this now and looking for answers. So what LifeVantage has done is they've realized that there's this brand new science and technology called Nutrigenomics coming out. They're going to apply it to different fashions that are huge needs out there for people to have. And there's other switches. Now, because this is such a big deal, there are drug companies trying to figure this stuff out. One of the drugs is called Tecfidera. It's called BG, also known as BG12. It was a comparison study between BG12, Tecfidera, broccoli seed extract, and Protandim to see which one was best at activating this protein called NRF2. So if NRF2 is the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine, and a drug can be made to do that, that would be a good thing. That'd be a huge moneymaker. This drug took $1 billion to bring to market. Its claim to fame is it could reduce relapse rates in MS by 50%, which is huge, because that allows somebody that might not be able to walk or might not be able to take care of themselves, literally to have a less the chance for relapse. So the study says this: interestingly, Protandim, a dietary supplement, consists of herbal ingredients with the most potent inducer and therefore may be most suited to a therapeutic strategy. The drug company did the research, they funded it, and they said Protandim actually outperformed even their drug. So that's awesome. But I watched a client of mine that I worked with for over a decade as she started taking these products and she's taking 32 different supplements, most of them from me. I've watched her over the last 4 years go from somebody that could function for about 2.5 hours a day to somebody that goes most all day long, living her life vertically for the first time in years, saving thousands of dollars on medical expenses because her body is no longer just being supplemented, it's now being activated through Nutrigenomic-based products. So these products work, but they only work when you put it in them. And guess what? The effects are cumulative because the body will fix what it has to first and what it wants to second. Thank goodness she's been so consistent, because now where she is now, she's building this business for her daughter who's autistic. because she wanted her daughter to have a way to not have to have the government make decisions for her on how she'd have health care. Well, now her daughter, because of how different she is, you can take like 26 supplements down to just a handful today with this vitality stack, which I'll touch on. Literally this little girl who we never thought we were happy when she ordered her own food at Subway, happy when she got a book back in the library and came back out safely, is now in college getting her vet tech degree. That's what we have the ability to do by these products activating systems that just were struggling because we didn't know there were switches, but now we know. Now there are other switches in the body that I want you to know about. Well, one's called the NRF1. NRF1 controls your body's energy production. It supports a system called the mitochondria. Those little bad boys, if they don't work, the cell mutates or dies. That's what happens. This linked to lots of different conditions. But literally, this is, if the mitochondria work, it helps the chromosomes heal, it allows your body to make energy, so you sleep better and you have better energy. Here's what we know about the mitochondria. When they do not work right, their job is to convert food to energy. And when they don't work right, you'll look at the slide on the right. These are the conditions that they get diagnosed with that are directly related to mitochondrial dysfunction. Look at that list. When I look at that, one of the things that pops in my head every time, epilepsy, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, diabetes, cancer, muscular dystrophy, these are the ones where you think, oh crap, what am I gonna do? Because there's not great answers in medicine on helping to actually improve that. It's literally how do we manage it? Guys, literally that study I read last week that talked about Parkinson's, the target for treating Parkinson's is activating nerve 2. That's the target that they're honed in right now with creating medications. It's in clinical trials, which means it's probably a couple years out still. So what do you do? I was having this conversation with my staff because we have clients that are struggling with that diagnosis and said, look, we are doing what science is hoping to do in the future now by activating these pathways and not guessing if we're doing it. We know we're doing it because we know the science is real. How cool is that? And how cool to be a part of something that big? Probiotics. Everybody on the planet should be on probiotics because if you're not, your immune system and your digestive system not working right. And when they don't, you look at the picture on the right, it affects your brain, it affects your immune system, it affects your joints, your adrenals, your colon, every part of your system affected when the digestive system and immune system don't work right. So why is this one different? Again, technology-based, it's a time-release system that allows it to go throughout the whole intestinal tract. So literally, we have a 60% effectivity versus a 4% as far as absorption. And it has something called well immune. There's so many people now that I see all the time that are struggling with what's called autoimmune conditions. I saw a lady today, right, where all these symptoms are random. They know what's going on, but they know the immune system is struggling, like it's attacking the rest of the body. That was brilliant to put those two together because literally it helped to balance the immune system and heal the gut at the same time. How critical is that, right? If we're keeping a healthy immune system, not overactive, not underactive, but just where it should be, and healing the gut at the same time. Phenomenal, and the technology. And then omega-3 fatty acids. How is this one unique and different? Okay, this one's unique several ways. One, because it has omega-7s in it. It's the only one I know of right now that has omega-7s, or maybe some out there I don't know of them. It's got natural source of vitamin D. And I love the fact that we can trace this back to the boat that it is caught from. I've yet seen somebody come into my office doing laboratory testing and seeing somebody has a normal omega-3 fatty acid level with just diet. I'm sure it will happen someday, haven't seen it yet, but that's because most of us are deficient in vitamin D and essential fatty acid. And if that's the case, then our brain, our heart, our immune system, our hormone systems do not and cannot work right. It's the foundation for really every cell in the body to function well. I love the fact that these come to me every month, that they're pure and they're fresh and they're from a source that's clean and sustainable. We have the ability to track that back. That's beautiful. Okay, I can't tell you how many times it frustrates me, not frustrates me, it makes me kind of sad when I see somebody that comes in and literally they're taking, I told the lady today, she had bought like 5 or 6 things just in the last couple of weeks because she's trying to help herself sleep. That's what people are doing right now. If they don't have insurance, do insurance, they're just going and they're looking at what are their choices. They try to find information on the internet, they try to find information through a book, and then they go try to go buy something. If you literally go into Sprouts or wherever, you're gonna find hundreds and thousands of bottles of this stuff and not know if they're gonna do what they're supposed to do. I love the fact that LifeVantage has made it super easy for us. We're not working on supplementing deficiencies, we're working on activating systems. So the systems that you can biohack and have control over are these systems. If you want to control how your body repairs, you control NRF2, that's protandim NRF2. If you want to influence the energy production, that's NRF1. If you want to improve your digestive immune system, that's the probio. If you want to improve and help your brain, heart, hormones to work correctly, that's the omega-3. Why not put it into a pack and make it super easy and convenient for all of us that are living this busy lifestyle, where literally all we have to do is grab a pack of this a day, give it to our families, and then we can go. So guys, this pack called the Vitality Stack won the Stevie Bronze Award. Okay, huge award, International Business Award, because of this brand new breakthrough product. I love it as a parent because I can literally hand this to each of my kids in the morning. I can put it where they're at. I know if it's there when I get home at night, right, that one of them didn't take it. I know which one it was because where they sit. And then they're drinking Axio a day. I love, love, love that. Okay. Because if I'm doing that, I'm not only helping to prevent problems, I'm allowing people to function at their best. If we really want to be real here, how well we perform or our kids perform affects their self-esteem, what they feel like they're capable of doing. So I know when I'm doing this, I'm addressing that hard question of giving the person what it needs so that they can function at the way. I love as a parent having it that simple, that I can give them a Vitality Stack and an Axio and away they go. I'm gonna talk about a couple other products just so you know what's important, because the same technology they've applied to skincare, that study on from LSU, they said you need to put this in a topical because there are people that care about how they look. People are putting a lot of stuff on their bodies that's toxic. We literally have the ability now to activate nerve 2 on the skin, whether it's because you just want to reduce skin damage like people in Arizona have, like me, or you literally want to basically help that skin look healthy and long and have great longevity. Okay, or NRF2 technology for your hair. Look at the pictures down this right-hand side and the differences that people are seeing on that, right? That same family I told you about with the lady that said with MS, like her little girl, like her hair now is so different because of being biohacked, right? And she was buying super expensive shampoo, right, to try to keep all the toxins out. I love that this is non-toxic and that it's a way for us to activate literally our biggest organ in our body, which is the skin, through not only the true science hair care, but the true science, the facial system. How amazing is that? No toxins and actually activating nerve 2 from the outside and from the inside. It's awesome. Then pet tandem for animals, for your four-legged friends. Like such cool stories on that and how it's affecting animals and horses and dogs and cats. If you want to look up YouTube and type in pet tandem and animals, and you're gonna see some super, super cool stories on that. Then there's the physique weight management system. Look at how big the weight loss industry is. Well, we have a fat burn that's tied to Nutrigenomics that you take once a day and helps your body burn that fat all day long. A prebiotic that helps to get the right stuff in the digestive tract so your good bacteria can live there and the bad guys cannot. And a protein shake, so literally if we get rid of the fat, your body replaces it with muscle, because the more muscle you have, the more muscle mass, the more metabolism. So basically your metabolism is directly equal to your muscle mass, okay? So, guys, I have to admit that network marketing was not something I ever saw myself doing, but I had misconceptions about what it was. And unfortunately, I agree, I probably and did judge people and companies, right, because of that, because I just wasn't open at the time. So a couple of things happened in my life where God humbled me. One, I watched this little boy change in front of my eyes. I watched him go from somebody that was struggling every day to just letters, numbers, wanting to be smart like his brother, to a little kid now who says he's smarter than his older brother. And his older brother is crazy smart because his brain is working differently. And that little boy I got that text about today, right? Or people that I've watched their lives unfold, like that's what opened me up to this network marketing as a better way of getting the information out that needs to get out. Doctors are super slow to adopt new technology, right? In other fields, you want the latest great technology. Doctors are super slow with that. This information needs to be out to people now, today, because there are people struggling now that if they don't have to struggle anymore, they're going to be better at whatever they choose to do. Network marketing is just a better way to get the information out. So when Carrie asked me to go to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, I really didn't know what she was doing. She was trying to help me to build my belief in first the product and the science, but also in the industry of network marketing. It is a better business way of getting information out. And it's a better way to find and connect with people that are like-minded, that want to make a better world. I met the Poes, I met the Gordons, I met so many there that literally had changed their life because now they were able to do what they wanted to do when they wanted to do it because they built a residual income stream away from their family. That kind of opened me up a little bit, but really opened me up, guys, is I got back home, started doing this a little bit, people's lives. My dad and I taught for a company, literally the company taught for let him go without notice. So his income went away overnight. So imagine your dad losing his income, $30,000 a month gone. And shortly thereafter, I ended up breaking my knee playing basketball. My whole intent, if anything ever happened to me, if I ever needed a plan B, is I could step into teaching. I'd always kept my foot in the door with companies and reps that I'd worked with. But I just had him just lose that thing after 20 years of him and I building this up. We had nothing to show for it other than the relationship that we built. And I'm hobbling around on a broken knee, not taking a day off because if I quit practice, I can't take care of my family. I didn't have a plan B. So for me, that's what needed to happen to me to get my attention to look at this business. And I'm so grateful I did. And I'm grateful that Carrie sat me down and said, hey, look, if you want to build this business, you need to understand it's a different business model. You don't want to be the smart guy. You need to understand what you got to do to build a team. That's what she was trying to show me in Sioux Falls. I didn't get it then. I get it a lot more now. So teaming up with people like Shawn that understand business and Michelle, who just has a phenomenal passion for people, embracing the process of network marketing, which is really about personal growth and helping other people find the success. Like I'm so grateful, Shawn, for you and Michelle, so many others that have kind of taken me under your wing, allowed me to be part of this journey, been patient with me in that process. It literally to now be in a spot where I was able to sell my practice. Literally, you know, I was my dad's way out, right, of his practice, to be able to sell my practice literally for more than he sold it to me for, and to do it literally, 12 years sooner than he did. That's what network marketing allowed for me. But at the same time, I didn't realize how many lives we touched. So these videos that we're doing, guys, I know full well, I hope this breathes fire into you to where you go share it with somebody else, because two things are going to happen. That person's going to struggle longer than they should, or somebody else is going to give you a part of that story and you're not. Right? So your opportunity becomes, what part do you want to have in this if you take the product or not? So Shawn, thanks for letting me be a part of this. I'd love for them to hear your story about how you took the business model, looked at it, but also the lives that you guys impact from that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Brimhall. And it's always so refreshing to hear from these, medical professionals what we have our hands on, because it is absolutely mind-blowing. And what we were told even 8 years ago, this is coming up on 8 years that Michelle and I have been involved with LifeVantage. What we were told back then was just the tip of the iceberg as far as what they started to understand about how these different pathways in the bodies work. And Dr. Brett, he's great at the science and all of that. I'm a finance guy, you guys. My wife and I, when we first started, we didn't have any network marketing experience. We didn't know the first thing about nutraceuticals, but what we knew was this, is that if other people had a system in place that they had already proven to work, we could follow what they were doing and do the same thing. Now, the problem was we didn't completely believe in the profession. We had a negative connotation attached to network marketing, and I think people can resonate with that. But the thing of it was, again, we're business people, and we were open-minded to see where it would fit in. My wife's biological father died of a heart attack in his early 40s, and that's really what initially led us into LifeVantage. Was we saw a cardiologist presenting all this science and talking about the American Heart Association, and we were thinking to ourselves, well, even if it's half as good as what they're saying, it's something we want to integrate into our health strategy. And that's why we got involved with LifeVantage. And back then it was just Protandim NRF2. And coming from the finance guy, this is what NRF2 does. It cleans out the exhaust, the garbage that's inside of our cells, and it has potential benefit for the heart. And so that's why we got involved. And we didn't do the business side to do another business, right? I had a full-time job. My wife had a full-time job. We had an awesome online business that was doing well. We had 2 little kids, a lady living with us from Spain. We were the definition of too busy to add anything else to our plates. But the thing of it is when you get excited, when you get passionate about something, you naturally share it with other people. And here's what happened to us is when we started sharing it with other people, people wanted to see what it could do for them. And the more people's bodies we got it into, the more people had positive benefits. And what do people that have positive benefits do with the product? Right? They continue, if it's consumable, they continue to take it. And then second of all, they tell other people. And so it naturally snowballed for us into the business side of it. At the same time that all of this was going on, this is 2011 that we first got exposed to this. Since 2004, when our oldest daughter, Callista, was born, my wife had been dealing with a lot of medical issues, and they went undiagnosed for a 7-year period. We saw some of the best doctors in the world. We went to the Mayo Clinic, to the Cleveland Clinic. We were told it could be anything from brain cancer, tumors, to early onset of MS. And as great as Western medicine is, there's a lot that we still don't know. There's a lot that we still don't understand. And so we'd go to these appointments. You'd get spinal taps. You'd get CAT scans. I mean, you name it. She had that done. And it was scary as a family. It was scary as a husband. And for Michelle, it was terrifying not knowing, you know, what's going on inside of your own body. And the reality is they could rule out a lot of what it wasn't, but they couldn't tell us what it was. And shortly after we began this journey with LifeVantage, all of a sudden the flare-ups that she had had consistently on a regular basis weren't showing up like they used to. And none of these products, you guys, are drugs. They don't treat, prevent, cure, mitigate disease. We can't make those claims. But what I can tell you is that it had a tremendous benefit on her overall health. And we'll be forever grateful for the changes that happened in our life. And I want to get back to that core group of products that Brett was talking about, because when you understand the science, to me, you guys, it's an absolute no-brainer. You're going to integrate them into your health strategy. It's just a matter of how you're going to do it at this point. And the reality is that you can't go into GNC, you can't walk into CVS or Rite Aid and go onto the shelves. And like Brett said, when it was sitting on the shelves, nobody was getting it. And back in 2005, when that ABC primetime video aired, you know, who knew what oxidative stress was at that point? And fast forward even to 2019, who knows what oxidative stress is right now? You're not walking into GNC and asking for that product that reduces oxidative stress. It has a story to be told. And what I love about these products and the expansion, the organic expansion of our product line, is now for $5 a day right there in the center, you guys, that Vitality Stack will give you a complete overhaul to your health. And what else can you do? I'm all ears. Send me the feedback. What else can you do for $5 a day that will have the sort of impact on your health that this will? So those products, and again, this is not the science guy talking to you about this. This is the finance guy. I want to give you the high level overview of what that Vitality Stack does. The NRF1 product, right? It's going to increase the mitochondria and the health of the mitochondria in the cells, right? The amount and the health. And so that's going to naturally increase the energy for you. But at the same time, if you have all of those little engines running in the cells, the mitochondria, what does it produce? It's going to produce its own toxins, its own exhaust. And just like we're inundated from the outside world with all this oxidative stress and free radicals, our cells produce that as well too. So you have to have a way to get that out of the cells, and that's NRF2. And the omegas, like Brett said, he hasn't tested one patient yet that through natural diet has enough of the proper omegas. So you have to have some sort of way to get the right omegas into the body. And me in South Dakota, it's been minus 30, you guys, I think, for 9 months. It feels like it, at least. And so we need that vitamin D supplementation that's in that omega as well too. And the probiotic. If your gut is not healthy, your overall immune system is not healthy. And a lot of your immune health is directly tied to gut health. And I didn't realize that until a couple of years ago. So all of those are bundled together, you guys, for $5 a day. And I'm telling you, get that into your body for 4 to 6 months and see what it does for you. And the reality of this is, again, once you understand the science, it's a no-brainer of integrating it into your health strategy. But how are you going to do it? Is it as a consumer or as a distributor? When I look at our business, you guys, we've brought in, I would say over the course of the last 8 years, about 80 distributors into the business, but it's turned into a network of 30,000 people globally. And I love that for the fact that it doesn't take a lot. Like when you have great products and it's done right and you share from the heart, people are naturally attracted to this. But I understand the business world, you guys. When I came out of graduate school, I got my security licenses with Wells Fargo. I did some portfolio stuff for them in the banking world. And when we moved to South Dakota, because of my wife's health, to be around our family, I moved over to Citigroup, and I managed the cash movement of Citigroup in the amounts of $4 billion to $40 billion around the world on a daily basis. And the last 3 years that I was with Citi, I managed the defaulted student loan portfolio. And so I understand the concept of what you're looking for in businesses. We've owned our own businesses as well, small businesses and online businesses. And what I know about business is this, is that regardless what product or service or industry it is, every new thing goes through what's called this S-curve if it lasts long enough. And that's what I have on the screen right now. And so I just want to spend a few minutes going over the business side with you guys. I know I'm very cognizant of the fact that not everybody's into the business, but the reality is this: 90% of our business is customer focused, and people come in as customers. But about 10% of the people that we share this with, they see the business vision like we see it. And so I want to explain that, so at least you have enough information to make that decision if it's for you or not. And that S-curve on here, what I typically like to do is I like to show you past experience in the business world so that we can kind of get a glimpse, a viewpoint into what potentially could be in the future and make decisions based off of stuff that's already happened. And so that S-curve, but here's an example of the S-curve. The iPhone, you guys. The smartphone technology has only existed for 10 years. And if you go back 10 years from 2019, we're talking about the iPhone, the original iPhone. Now, how many people do you know that actually had the original iPhone? Were you one of them? Most of the time when I'm doing a meeting, even if 100 people are in the room, maybe 1 or 2 people had the original iPhone. It was new. Smartphone technology was not something that the average person had integrated into their daily life. And so early on in that technology, it was really the innovators, maybe the gadget person, that had that technology. Even the iPhone 2, the iPhone 3, you're still in that innovator and early adopter phase, right? The average person still had not adopted that technology. It was right around the iPhone 4 that the average person started to use smartphone technology and carried it around in their pocket. And from the iPhone 4 and 5 and 6, it ramped up and it went through that huge momentum phase where usually 80% of the growth that's going to happen in that company or that technology happens. And then you have this flattening out, where after the average person has adopted that technology, you still have some growth, but it's not as extreme as it was before. And look where we are today, the iPhone 8, the iPhone X. Sales are starting to become stagnant and move back a little bit. And the reality is even if you haven't owned the product, which is pretty rare now, if the people that haven't owned an iPhone or at least one version, they at least know about smartphone technology for the most part. And so when we listen to what Brett was talking about with NRF2 and NRF1 and Axio, these different mechanisms to help the health of your body, the average person doesn't know about this yet. So where does that set you up potentially on the business side of things if you know about something before the average person knows about it? And to me, that's what everybody is searching for. That's what people are looking for. And for us living in South Dakota, we don't typically hear about things before the average person, right? It usually goes from the East and West Coast in, and we hear about it 10 years later, and we're like, that would have been nice to know. But the reality is I've been all over the world doing this, you guys, Australia, Canada, Mexico, all over the US. There isn't one place I've ever set foot in where you could walk out and randomly ask 100 people if they know about NRF2 pathway, and you would find more than 1 or 2 people that actually knew about it, if any. So the reality is we're early on in this technology. So if you think about it, I like to also fast forward into the future and ask this question. In 5 years from now, do you think that we're going to have more people that are upregulating and downregulating genes? To me, it's an easy answer, and it's yes. And it's not going to be if you're doing it, it's how you're doing it. And the reality is even a company that joins the marketplace today to upregulate and downregulate genes like we do, they have we have a decade's head start already on them with the products and the science backing up that our products actually work. So where does that potentially put you up? Where does that potentially put you if you know about something before the average person and you act upon that information? That's why I get so excited today about what we have our hands on, and I'm more excited than I was probably 8 years ago about this. Now, when Michelle and I joined, like I said, we didn't know the first thing about network marketing. We didn't understand the first thing about nutraceuticals. But again, if a system's in place that other people had already shown to work, we can follow the system and generate the same results. Now, the problem was my mindset. I didn't believe that you could make money doing network marketing. My joke to Michelle was, yeah, we'll get a commission check for $20. We'll be super successful network marketers. We'll go get a bottle of wine and a Redbox movie and celebrate. But the reality is this, you guys, is when it's done right with the right people and the right products, it's one of the most extraordinary ways to do business. And what I have on the screen right now is called the income disclosure summary. We know the ranks in the company that go from Pro 1 to Pro 10, what the average person makes on a monthly basis in residual or leveraged income. And give me a second just to understand this, because even if this is not for you, find a way in 2019 to get leveraged or residual income in your life, because it'll change everything. I didn't learn about this until my mid-30s, and I always traded time for money. I would show up, and 2 weeks later, I'd get a check. Show up again, and 2 weeks later, I would get a check. Well, I stopped showing up with corporate America in January of 2012. Guess what they stopped doing? They stopped sending me checks. But the reality is when you can build residual or leveraged income into your life, you get paid over and over and over again for work you did in the past. Now, the problem is there's not a ton of different ways that you can acquire or generate leveraged income or residual income, right? Some people do it through real estate. It takes a massive amount of money and a lot of loans usually to do it. Investment portfolios, again, it takes a lot of money to generate even a couple $1,000s a month residually from an investment portfolio. But when network marketing is done right, you guys, you literally have your hands for a little over $1,000 investment with LifeVantage. You have your hands on potentially a multi-million-dollar business that can generate any one of these numbers on the screen. And so when I look at the ranks of Pro 1, 2, and 3, that to me is part-time money. The person that wants to just dabble in it and share it occasionally, $80, $260, $580 a month. Well, I know this with managing the collection and litigation activity on a student loan portfolio that was just under $1 billion. I know this about bankruptcy. The average person in the United States that goes through bankruptcy could avoid it with an extra couple $100s a month. Is that not an extraordinary stat? That an extra couple $100s a month is the difference between most people that have to claim bankruptcy and them not having to file it. A couple extra $100s a month. So if I could roadmap out for them how to make $260 a month, do you not think that they'd be interested in that? And I can promise you this, if it's not you, you do have friends and family going to bed tonight praying for something to change in their life. And then look at the ranks of Pro 4 and 5, $1,200, $2,500 a month. To me, that's supplemental income. Look at the baby boomers. Is the retirement world what they thought it was going to be 30 or 40 years ago, when it used to be, if you had that loyalty to a company for 30 or 40 years, they took care of you during the golden years? Does that exist anymore? Right? And they usually had a pension at the end of it. And then Social Security offset a little bit that the pension cover to get them back up to the income level that they had been living off of. Well, the reality is that doesn't exist now. Pensions are disappearing more than ever before, and they're going to have less in the future than they do today as far as people that are walking away with pensions. Social Security definitely doesn't pay enough, and the average person hasn't saved enough to live a year off the same income lifestyle as in investment and retirement funds. So what are they going to do? Well, the reality is they're coming to the decision of living off of less money or continuing to work. So again, if I could roadmap out to you how to make $1,200 or $2,500 a month, there's going to be a lot of people that are into that. But like me, I wanted out of corporate America, but I needed a vehicle. I needed to replace the income that we were generating from that. So look at the ranks of even Pro 5, 6, and 7, $2,500, $6,000, $11,000 a month. Could you not replace most American households with that type of money? And then the ranks of 8, 9, and 10, $20,000, $40,000, $100,000 a month, you guys. And I'm not telling you those numbers to just talk about the money. The reality is I want to open your eyes to what this is, because I didn't understand that 8 years ago. I had no clue that kind of potential existed in this type of business. The reality for my wife and I, not having experience, we got involved in, and 12 months later, we were at the Elite Pro 7 level. 12 months after that, we were at Elite Pro 8. 12 months after that, we had 2 Pro 8 positions. And currently, you guys, we have a Pro 9 business, a Pro 8 business, and one that has Pro 7 volume. It's changed our life. It's changed our ability to live the lifestyle we want to live, and to impact not hundreds of people or thousands of people, literally tens of thousands of people across the globe, just by sharing information. And again, it's not for everybody, but I at least want you to have enough information to make the decision for yourself. What would happen? What if? I'm not going to get into all the different ways that we get paid. I'm only going to take a couple more minutes. I know that we're running up on an hour of time, but I think this is important. The Elite Bonus Pool is really different with our company than other companies that I've seen in network marketing, because you often hear that there's this silo effect, or maybe only the people at the top get paid. If you're not in my group, I'm not going to train you, or you're not welcome to my meetings because I don't get paid on that. The reality is, with this company, this part of the compensation plan breaks down all those silos, because what it does is it takes 4% of the monthly revenue that's generated worldwide. And it's not profits. They don't cut out the expenses. It's true a profit sharing or a revenue sharing program, where they take 4% of the global commissionable sales and they put them into 1% segments. All the 7, 8, 9s, and 10s share 1%. The 8, 9s, and 10s a second. The 9s and 10s a third. And the Pro 10s, globally in a $200 million company, share 1%. And the reality is if you get to that level, remember on the last screen I showed you from Pro 1 to Pro 10, when you hit the rank of Pro 7, it doesn't matter who's in whose group, right? It doesn't matter if you were the very first distributor or you signed up 3 months ago. You start participating in all the work that's ever been done and all the work that's going to be done. You're going to participate in every country that's launched. We're launching a ton of new countries this year. And even if we don't directly have a distributor in those countries, we can participate in the growth, that S-curve that's going to happen in those companies. And I love that, because now it's not about the individual or the organization. It's about LifeVantage. It's about sharing this information with as many people as we possibly can and changing as many lives as possible. But with that, on the business side, again, I know only about 10% of the people that we share this with have that interest. But if you're Rolodexing other people in your head that need to hear this, where you're thinking, I would like an additional income stream, or maybe something a little bit different, or like me, I was looking for a way out, but I had to replace the income, this potentially could be for you. And there's 3 different ways to get involved: the silver pack, the gold pack, and the platinum pack. The silver pack's $350, the gold pack's $650, the platinum pack's $1,250. And think about this as a business, you guys. If you potentially have a multi-million-dollar business in your hands, is $1,250 a ton to pay for it? The reality is go look at a franchise. See how much even the cheapest franchises that you could get involved with. And then what is the potential outcome of that? What does the average person make in that type of franchise? So as far as a business owner, when I say $1,250, it's actually not a ton. But even if you don't get off the starting line with the business, you get your money back in a product. So Michelle and I, when we first got started, we signed up for the business not even wanting to do the business, but we knew we were just prepaying for product we were already going to take. So even if we didn't get off the starting line, we had already won. We had a discount on product we were already going to take. But the cool thing is we did share it with other people, and we started to be rewarded for that. And it changed our life completely. Now, you're going to fall into one of 3 categories, you guys. This is for you, and you have questions, or it's not for you. And what I would ask you is just get back with the person that shared this with you and let them know where you stand. If this isn't for you, that's totally cool. Just let them know that. I would ask you, if something changes in your life and all of a sudden it does become for you, get back with the person that first shared this with you. If you have questions, let us know what the questions are, because I'll contend all day long, the American Heart Association is going to be a much more reliable resource than a Google blogger. Okay, so let us know if it's science questions or product questions or business questions. We can get those questions answered and get you in front of the right information. And then if you're ready to get started now, let us know that too. Either as a customer or as a distributor, it's less than 5 minutes. We can get you started right away. And those packs that I showed you, if you're thinking about doing the business, the best thing that comes with that is this is a business that is designed that other people are around you to help you succeed. Success is derived from other people being successful. Unlike the corporate world where I was paid more money to separate myself from all of my peers, in network marketing, our success is tied to other people. And so if we don't help other people have success, our success is limited. So we're here along with you on the journey so that you can earn money as you go. And I want to leave you with this last thought. There's 2 shifts in the world happening right now. One of them is away from drugs, away from the pharmaceutical world, in my opinion, as far as trying to be more proactive and less reactive to our health. And people are looking more so than ever before at how the science of stuff that's been used for centuries can help them have better health. And so we're positioned in a great spot on this shift that's happening with people being and wanting natural approaches to more proactive health. And the miracle here, it's not the pills themselves. It's honestly, it's getting the body back doing what God designed it to do when we were younger. The problem is as we age, stressors get stacked on different stressors, and this leveling effect, the stacking effect, eventually the body has to start picking and choosing what it's going to combat. So if we can remove those stressors, get the body's pharmacy working like it used to, we have unlimited potential on what we can do with our health. But on the other side of this, on the business side, I want you to think about this for a second. Where is the business world going? You might have a negative connotation attached to this business model. You might. I did. But the reality, again, is when it's done right with the right people and the right products, it's one of the most extraordinary ways to do business. And I want you to think about this. In 2010 and then 2018, do you think that there were more or less toys sold in a year? Well, the reality is in 2018, there was more toys sold in 2018 than 2010, but a brick and mortar store, Toys R Us, went out of business. Why? It had been around for decades. A lot of people grew up as a Toys R Us kid. Well, what happened? If we sold more toys, but a place like Toys R Us goes out of business, what happened? There was a shift in the consumer marketplace. And where did they go? They went to places like Amazon, you guys. And think about what Amazon is. It's just a giant group of distribution centers that take and ship product directly from a distribution center to somebody's house. That's exactly what we do, just in a different space. We do it in the world of nutraceuticals, upregulating and downregulating genes. So again, this is the perfect place and the perfect opportunity to get ahead of that curve. So I'll leave you with this. What if? What if everything that you heard tonight was true? What if it was even half true? Where would that put you? Having that knowledge before the average person. And I know at times we can get in our own ways with fears and different struggles that we have in our lives. But I can tell you this. I know for a fact my life would look very, very different today if we didn't make the decision that we made 8 years ago when we first heard this information. I know for a fact Dr. Brett Brimhall and his family's life would look very, very different if he didn't make the decision that he made several years back. And so I want you to think about that and know we're here for you. Regardless what decision that you make, we're here to support you, and we're here to answer anything that we can. We're here to help. So let us know how we can help you. Get back with the person that introduced this to you, and we'll go from there. But want to definitely send out a thank you to Dr. Brett Brimhall for being on here tonight. We appreciate you. Your expertise and knowledge is absolutely amazing. I'm so excited about this. If you're watching the replay, let us know that too. But get this into other people's hands, this information that you think it could potentially help. So with that, we'll say goodnight. Thank you, Dr. Brett. Appreciate you. Have a great night.